The meat market. The market was dark, crowded, and loud, filled with the strange smells of alien spices and burnt metal. The human moved slowly through the crowded alleys, his eyes scanning the chaos around him. Creatures of all shapes and sizes shouted, bargained, and fought, their voices mixing into a wild symphony of noise. The scent of fear and desperation hung heavy in the air, making his stomach twist. He was not sure why he had come here, but something pulled him forward, deeper into the heart of the alien market. In a shadowed corner, he saw her, a young alien girl, her skin pale green and her eyes wide with terror. She was chained to a metal pole, her clothes torn and dirty. The human felt a strange pull in his chest, a mixture of pity and anger. She was small, fragile, yet her eyes held a fire that made him pause. "Sold for meat, human," she whispered, barely moving her lips. "Hold me, use me, just get me out of here." Her voice was trembling, yet there was a strange hope in it. The human's heart raced. He knew he should stay back, stay safe, but he could not. Not when she looked at him like that. Not when her life was in danger. He moved closer, trying not to draw attention. The guards in the market were large, intimidating, and clearly not to be trifled with. Their eyes scanned the crowd constantly, looking for trouble. The human ducked behind a pile of crates, watching the girl's every move. She shivered as one guard walked past, and he saw her lips move in silent prayer. The human looked around, thinking quickly. He needed a plan, any plan. Before someone noticed him, before she was sold to the highest bidder, the market was a maze of stalls, ropes, and glowing signs, each corner hiding new dangers. The air buzzed with electricity and alien voices. It felt like a trap, every step forward risky. He spotted a small gap between two stalls, enough for him to slip through unnoticed. He crept forward, careful, heart pounding, his eyes never leaving the girl. She noticed him moving, her eyes widening with fear and hope. She whispered again, "Please, help me. I can't stay here." The words were like fire in his mind, burning away any doubt. Suddenly, a loud cry echoed through the market. A guard had spotted someone trying to sneak past. The human froze, heart hammering. The girl's eyes filled with panic, but she did not scream. She knew it could make things worse. He ducked lower, sliding behind a stack of metal crates. The guard's heavy boots clanged on the floor, coming closer. He held his breath, counting the seconds, every second feeling like an hour. Finally, the guard passed by, unaware of the human's presence. The girl let out a silent sigh of relief. Her eyes locked on his, a silent promise passing between them. They had only just met, but somehow they understood each other, both trapped in this dangerous market, both needing a way out. The human made a decision, his mind clear. He would save her, no matter the cost. He would face the guards, the dangers, and the unknown horrors of this alien world, just to get her out, just to hold her safe. The girl's whispered plea stayed in his mind, repeating over and over, "Sold for meat. Human, hold me, use me, just get me out of here." And in that moment, the human knew their story had begun. A story of courage, danger, and hope. A story where humans could rise above fear. A story where one act of bravery could change everything.
The human decision. The human stood behind the crates, his heart still racing from the close call. He watched the girl's eyes, wide and pleading, and knew he could not turn away. Every instinct told him to stay safe, to walk away and forget this place. But something stronger pulled him forward, a mix of curiosity, courage, and the unexplainable urge to help. He took a slow step out, careful not to draw attention. The girl's eyes followed him, hope flickering in the fear. "I'll get you out," he whispered, though he was not sure how. The market was alive with danger. Every step forward brought new sounds, strange smells, and unseen threats. The guards moved like shadows, silent but deadly, their presence alone enough to make a man think twice. He crept closer, slipping through the narrow gaps between stalls. His mind raced with plans, none perfect, all risky. He could grab the girl and run, but the chains were thick, heavy, anchored to the pole with strange alien technology. He could try to break them, but that would make noise, alerting the guards. He needed a distraction, something clever, something fast. Suddenly, an idea struck. He noticed a vendor arguing with a customer nearby. A loud commotion. He grabbed a pile of glowing fruit from a nearby stall and tossed it across the floor. The fruits rolled and smashed, glowing liquid splashing and hissing. The guards turned toward the noise, cursing in alien tongues, their attention distracted. Just for a moment, the human rushed forward, keeping low. He reached the girl, her small hands trembling as he worked on the chains. "I'll get you out. Just stay calm," he whispered, his fingers fumbling with the alien lock. It clicked open finally, and the chain fell away with a clatter that made his stomach twist. She rubbed her wrists, relief flooding her features. Her small body shook, but her eyes held gratitude. Fall. Lo me, he said, grabbing her hand, and they slipped between the stalls, moving as quickly and quietly as possible. The market suddenly seemed bigger, more dangerous, every shadow hiding a potential threat. Their steps were careful, yet fast, hearts pounding in unison. The girl leaned slightly on him, her trust fragile but growing. A guard shouted behind them, noticing the missing girl. The human's pulse quickened. We need to move faster, he hissed. They turned a corner, almost colliding with a stall selling alien meats. The smell made his stomach churn, but he focused, pushing forward, keeping the girl close. They ducked into a narrow alley, just wide enough to squeeze through. The walls were rough, dripping with unknown liquids. The sounds of the market grew distant but not gone. Echoes of shouts and pounding boots followed them, adding weight to every step. The girl's breathing was shallow, but she stayed quiet, following his lead. Finally, they reached a slightly safer corner. Away from the main market, the human leaned against the wall, catching his breath. The girl looked up at him, her eyes filled with both fear and hope. Thank you. I didn't think anyone would help me, she whispered, her voice small but strong. He nodded, trying to steady himself. We're not safe yet, he said, his eyes scanning for the next danger, but we'll find a way. I promise. The girl nodded, gripping his hand a little tighter. A fragile alliance had formed, one human, one alien girl, standing together against a world that wanted to tear her apart. In that moment, the human felt something powerful stir inside him, a realization that even in the darkest, most dangerous places, bravery could shine, that one person could make a difference, that humanity could rise above fear. And with that thought, he led her deeper into the shadows, ready to face whatever the alien market LD throw at them next.
Hidden shelter. The tunnel ended in a small, abandoned building, its walls cracked and covered with alien moss. The human pushed the girl inside, keeping his eyes on the darkened entrance. We're safe here, for now, he said, though his voice carried caution. Every shadow felt alive, every sound a potential threat. The girl sank to the floor, her small body shaking. I thought no one would help me, she whispered, her voice barely audible. The human crouched beside her, offering a hand to steady her. You're safe now, he said. I won't let them take you again. His words were simple, yet full of promise. He looked around the shelter, noticing old alien devices, broken screens, and dusty containers. Some might be useful, he thought, maybe for alarms or hiding places. He moved quickly, checking for signs of danger, every instinct alert. Every sound outside the building made him tense. Every shadow seemed ready to pounce. The girl watched him, curiosity and caution in her eyes. You trust me? She asked after a long silence, her voice hesitant, unsure, as if afraid of the answer. The human shook his head, smiling faintly. I trust you because you survived. And because you're still fighting. His words surprised even him, but he meant them. She hesitated, then nodded, slowly lowering her guard. I don't know how to repay you, she said, her voice trembling. Just survive. With me, he replied, his eyes scanning the room. That's enough. The girl blinked, something like relief passing over her features. They set to work, making the shelter more secure, using old crates to barricade the doors, covering broken windows with metal sheets. The human found a small, rusty lamp and managed to light it. Its weak glow made the room feel warmer, safer, even if just for a moment. The girl helped, her movements careful but determined, her hands strong despite her size. And as they worked, the human noticed the girl examining a strange device on the wall, her fingers brushing lightly over its buttons. That's alien tech, he said, curiosity piqued. I don't know what it does, but maybe it can help us. She nodded, her eyes shining with interest. The first spark of hope appeared in the darkness, a shared mission forming between them. Hours passed, and the market's chaos faded into distant echoes. The human and the girl finally sat together on the dusty floor, their backs against the wall. Why were they going to sell you? He asked softly, careful not to push too hard. Her eyes filled with pain and shame, but she spoke slowly. Because I'm different, rare, worth a lot to them. Her words made his chest tighten, anger and resolve mixing together. He clenched his fists, determination burning in his heart. No one will touch you again, he said, and she nodded, swallowing hard, trusting him more with each word. In that quiet moment, the human realized something vital. Bravery wasn't only about facing enemies or escaping danger. It was about protecting someone who could not protect herself, standing when the world wanted her broken. The girl leaned slightly on him, her small head resting on his shoulder, a silent promise passing between them. They were not just allies, but a team, facing a dangerous world together. The human felt a surge of hope, knowing they could survive this if they stayed clever, careful, and brave. Outside, the market roared, oblivious to the small shelter hiding one young alien and one human. Inside, they planned their next move, learning to trust each other, sharing silent glances, small smiles, and whispered strategies, ready to face whatever dangers waited beyond the walls, together, stronger than fear, stronger than any enemy, stronger than the shadows themselves.
Unseen threats. The night outside was quiet, but the silence was deceptive. The human and the girl stayed low in their shelter, listening, every sound sharp and alive. A distant echo of boots, faint but deliberate, made the human stiffen. "They're out there," he whispered, his eyes scanning the cracks in the walls. The girl pressed close, fear evident in her small frame. "Who?" she asked, voice trembling. "Hunters. Bounty hunters," he replied, the words heavy. "They are looking for you, for us." His mind raced, thinking of every possible escape, every trap that could lie ahead. A soft scratching sound came from the ceiling, and the human froze. His hand went to the small knife at his belt, ready for anything. The girl's eyes widened, her hand clutching his sleeve. He whispered, "Stay quiet. Don't make a sound." They waited, every second stretching like hours, the air thick with tension. Suddenly, a shadow moved outside the broken window. A humanoid figure, tall and silent, scanning the shelter, its armor glinting faintly in the moonlight. The human realized it was one of the hunters, trained, deadly, relentless. He pressed the girl down, keeping her hidden, heart pounding, mind sharp, every instinct focused on survival. The hunter stepped forward, closer to the shelter, and the human's mind worked fast. He noticed a pile of old debris near the entrance, a pile of sharp metal rods and broken pipes. He whispered, "Help me," and the girl nodded, understanding instantly, without a word. They pushed the debris silently, enough to block the main door. The hunter stopped, studying the obstacle, but did not enter. Sensing something was wrong, the human's eyes flicked to another exit, a small vent near the floor, barely large enough for the girl to crawl through. "Go," he hissed, guiding her toward it. She crawled quickly, hands scraping against the metal, her body tense. With fear, the human followed, holding the vent cover as the hunter's shadow loomed closer. They squeezed through, just in time, dropping into a narrow alley behind the shelter. The hunt was not over, but they had escaped immediate danger. Their breaths came fast, the night air cold on their faces. The girl looked at him, her eyes filled with awe and fear. You saved me again," she whispered, her voice shaking. He shook his head, determination hard in his features. "We're not safe yet. They will follow, and we must be smarter." His words were firm, inspiring courage. The girl nodded, gripping his arm, ready to trust him fully, their bond growing stronger with every danger faced. Ahead, the alley twisted and turned, offering shadows, corners, and hidden paths. The human led, thinking quickly, anticipating the hunter's next move, each step measured, silent, the city a maze of danger and opportunity. He noticed a series of crates stacked high, creating a narrow path above the ground, a risky route, but it could give them speed and concealment. They climbed carefully, balancing on the uneven crates, the girl's small hands gripping tightly, following his lead. Below, the sounds of pursuit grew, the hunter's shouts echoing faintly, but the human smiled slightly, a spark of defiance in his eyes. They were not helpless, they were clever, they were brave, and humanity had a way of rising above fear. For the first time, the girl felt it too, that sense of hope, of courage, of strength she had never known, that even in the darkest, most dangerous places, someone could stand for her, protect her, fight with her, and together, they would face whatever horrors awaited, ready, unbroken, unafraid.
The narrow escape. The crates rattled under their feet as they moved along the narrow path, each step a test of balance and nerve. Below, the hunters shouted, their voices sharp and angry. Their shadows stretched along the alley walls, searching, calculating, waiting for a mistake. The human glanced at the girl, her small frame tense but determined. She followed his lead without hesitation, her eyes fixed on him. We can do this, he whispered, more to reassure himself than her. His mind worked fast, thinking of traps, distractions, and ways to stay ahead. Ahead, the alley opened into a wider street, lit by dim, flickering lights. The human knew they had to cross quickly, but the hunters had blocked the obvious exits. He scanned the surroundings, looking for anything they could use, anything to outsmart the enemy, anything to survive. Then he saw it, a stack of barrels filled with alien chemicals, glowing slightly in the moonlight, dangerous if disturbed, but perfect for a distraction. He whispered, "Cover your ears," and pushed the first barrel over. It rolled and crashed into the next, sparks flying, hissing sounds filling the air. The hunters froze, unsure if the barrels were a trap. The human grabbed the girl's hand, and they dashed through the narrow gap beside the barrels. A sudden shout erupted, and a hunter leaped forward, claws extended, but the human twisted his body, dodging, and kicked a loose crate into the hunter's path. The hunter stumbled, lost balance for a moment, enough for them to gain distance. The street widened further, but danger lurked everywhere. A group of hunters waited ahead, forming a line, their weapons glinting. The human's mind raced. He needed another plan, fast. He noticed a series of overhead cables, thin but strong, stretching across the street. He pulled the girl toward them. "Grab my hands and climb," he ordered, and she obeyed without question. Together they climbed, careful not to touch the live wires. Their muscles burned. The gap below seemed endless, but they moved with focus and precision. The hunters lunged below, slashing and shouting, but the human and the girl were already above them, moving along the cables. Each step was a triumph of careful calculation. Every movement showed ingenuity, courage, and determination. Humanity in its purest form, defying impossible odds. Finally, they reached a solid rooftop, panting, bodies trembling from exertion. The hunters below could only shout in frustration, unable to follow. The human pulled the girl close, catching her breath. "We made it. For now," he said, his voice calm but his eyes alert. The girl looked at him, awe and admiration shining in her eyes. You're amazing," she whispered, her voice filled with wonder. The human shook his head, smiling faintly. "No, we're amazing. Together," he corrected, and she nodded, understanding the truth in his words. From that rooftop, they could see the city spread out below, vast, chaotic, dangerous, yet filled with opportunities, places to hide, paths to escape. The human realized that every danger they faced had shown him something new, something about courage, about thinking fast, about rising above fear. The girl leaned slightly against him, her small hand gripping his sleeve, trust between them unspoken but strong. They had survived another challenge, faced another trap. And yet the journey was far from over. The real fight for freedom, for safety, for hope had only just begun. Together they prepared for the next move, watching the streets below, ready for anything, ready to face any danger, using courage, cleverness, and the relentless determination that made humans truly remarkable. In the darkest night, with hunters below and danger all around, they were unstoppable. Their serum.
The final confrontation, the city stretched below them, dark and silent, but danger was everywhere. The human and the girl crouched on the rooftop, eyes scanning the streets, listening for the slightest sound. The hunters were relentless, trained to follow even the faintest trace. Every shadow could hide a threat, every corner a trap. The girl shivered slightly, clutching his sleeve. Are we going to be caught?" she asked, her voice trembling. The human shook his head, determination hard in his eyes. "Not if we stay smart, not if we move together," he said. "We've made it this far, and we won't stop now." They moved quietly, hopping across rooftops, the girl following every step. Their muscles ached, their breaths short, but their will was stronger than fear. Suddenly, a hunter appeared on the rooftop ahead, tall, armored, claws gleaming under the moonlight. He blocked their path, a silent predator waiting for the kill. The human froze for a split second, calculating, then he noticed a pile of old satellite dishes nearby. "Cover me," he whispered, and the girl nodded, ready to follow his lead. He grabbed the largest dish and hurled it toward the hunter. It clanged against the rooftop, bouncing, creating a loud distraction. The hunter lunged toward the noise, and the human seized the moment, pulling the girl behind a chimney, hiding them from view. The hunter snarled, spinning around, but the rooftop offered no easy path to reach them. The human whispered, "We move now, fast," and led her toward the edge of the building. Below, the street glowed faintly, a chance to escape if they could reach it. the human spotted a large cargo net hanging from a crane, swinging slightly in the wind. "Jump," he said, and she hesitated only for a moment, trusting him completely. Together, they leaped, catching the net, sliding down toward the ground with speed and precision. The hunters saw them and roared, but the human had already calculated their next move. He released the net at the perfect angle, letting it swing them toward a narrow alley. The hunters followed, but one misstep sent them stumbling over debris. Buying precious seconds, they ran through the alley, hearts pounding, until the city noise swallowed their trail. The girl gasped. We did it. We escaped," she whispered, relief flooding her small frame. The human smiled faintly, still alert, scanning every corner. "Not yet. Not completely safe," he said, but the hope in his eyes was undeniable. Ahead, a small transport ship waited, hidden in the shadows, its engine humming softly, a place to take them away from the hunters, away from danger. The human guided the girl aboard, helping her climb inside. Her eyes shone with awe and gratitude. "Thank you for everything," she said softly. He shook his head, smiling. "No. Thank you for trusting me," he said, and she nodded, realizing the truth in his words. The engine roared as they lifted into the night sky, leaving the city and the hunters behind. Below, the market, the traps, the dangers, all faded into darkness. The girl looked out at the stars, wide-eyed, a sense of freedom and hope filling her heart. The human leaned back, tired but triumphant, knowing they had faced impossible odds, outwitted enemies, and survived against all logic. Humanity, clever, brave, unyielding, had won again. And in that moment, under the vast alien sky, the girl knew she was no longer just a victim. The human knew he had found something stronger than courage, something more powerful than fear, a bond forged in danger, trust, and shared triumph. Together, they would face the future, unbroken, unstoppable, victorious.
The hidden sanctuary. The transport ship glided silently through the night sky, leaving the hunters and the chaos far behind. The girl pressed against the side of the cabin, her eyes wide, still trembling from the rooftop escape. The human sat beside her, scanning the horizon, alert, even in what felt like safety. This place," she whispered, looking at the glowing screens of the ship. "It's different." The human smiled faintly. "It's a sanctuary. At least for now," he said, his voice calm but full of determination. "We need time to rest, to plan our next move." The ship descended toward a hidden valley cloaked in shadows and strange alien foliage. The valley was surrounded by steep cliffs and thick fog, perfect for hiding, perfect for safety. The human guided the girl down a narrow ramp, keeping low and quiet, their movements careful and deliberate. Every sound in the valley echoed strangely, a reminder that danger could still be near. But here, for the first time in days, the girl felt a flicker of relief. "It's quiet," she said softly, almost afraid to speak too loudly. The human nodded. "Too quiet sometimes is still dangerous, but we have time." They reached a small structure hidden under the trees, a safe place built by someone who had once escaped too. The human helped the girl inside, showing her the simple supplies: water, dried food, blankets. A small corner became hers, a place to rest and regain strength. The girl sat on the floor, hugging her knees, her eyes reflecting a mixture of fear and hope. I thought I would never get out," she whispered, voice shaking. The human knelt beside her, gently placing a hand on her shoulder. "You did, because you didn't give up," he said, his words firm, encouraging. For the first time, the girl smiled faintly. "You saved me," she said, her voice quieter now, filled with gratitude. The human shook his head. "We saved each other," he corrected. "You trusted me. That's bravery too." She nodded, realizing the truth, feeling a bond stronger than fear, stronger than danger. Outside, the fog swirled around the valley, hiding them from the world. The human set a small perimeter, making sure no one could sneak in unnoticed. He checked the ship's systems remotely, ensuring they had an escape route if hunters discovered the valley. Every detail mattered. Every precaution could mean life or death. Hours passed, the valley still and calm, a strange contrast to the chaos they had escaped. The girl finally lay down, her small body curling up under the blanket, her breathing slowing as exhaustion took over. The human watched her sleep for a moment, silently promising to protect her, no matter what. Even in safety, he could not relax completely, but he allowed himself a brief moment of pride. Humanity had faced impossible threats before, and here it was again, showing cunning, courage, and strength. The girl stirred slightly, eyes half open, and whispered, "Thank you for not giving up on me." The human smiled. "Never," he said simply, meaning every word. Their bond, forged in danger, had grown stronger, and in this hidden sanctuary for the first time they allowed themselves to feel hope, to dream of freedom, to believe that maybe, just maybe, they could survive this together. The valley remained quiet, the stars reflected in the small stream nearby, a place of rest, a place to heal. But tomorrow, the world outside would return with its dangers, and the human and the girl knew they must be ready. Ready for anything, ready to show the world the courage and ingenuity that made humans unstoppable. Together, they rested, hearts beating in rhythm, minds alert, hope rekindled. And in that hidden sanctuary they prepared for the next challenge, knowing the fight was not over. But the bond between them was unbreakable.
The return of the hunters, the morning sun barely pierced through the thick fog of the hidden valley, casting pale light on the trees and rocks below. The girl stirred awake, rubbing her eyes, and glanced at the human, still alert, scanning the surroundings. His eyes narrowed, listening to every sound, even the faint rustle of leaves. Suddenly, a distant sound reached them, muffled but unmistakable, footsteps, heavy and determined, moving through the valley. The human tensed. "Hunters," he whispered, and the girl's small body froze, fear tightening her chest. They had thought the danger was behind them, but it had returned, stronger than before. The human quickly assessed their surroundings, looking for traps, escape routes, anything to gain an advantage. "We have to move. But carefully," he said, pulling the girl to her feet. "Follow me and trust every step." Her small hand gripped his tightly, her trust absolute. As they moved through the trees, the hunters became clearer. Silhouettes against the fog, armed and relentless, they split into groups, attempting to encircle the valley, cutting off escape. The human's mind raced, calculating angles, paths, and timing. Each second could mean life or death. He spotted a natural slope leading to a narrow canyon. "There," he whispered, pointing. "We use the terrain. It will slow them down." The girl nodded, understanding immediately. Every moment of danger had taught her to trust his judgment, to stay calm under pressure. They ran toward the canyon, careful not to make noise, but one hunter saw them and let out a shrill cry, alerting the others. The human glanced back, then acted, pulling a handful of glowing alien crystals from his pocket. "Throw these," he ordered, and she obeyed, tossing them to the side. The crystals erupted in bright sparks and smoke, blinding the hunters momentarily. The human led the girl through the canyon's twists and turns, narrow walls keeping the hunters from following easily. Every move required precision, every step a test of human ingenuity. Suddenly, the path split, one route leading to a cliff, the other deeper into the canyon. The human stopped, thinking fast, then whispered, "We go up. It's risky, but it's our only chance." The girl hesitated, but trust in him pushed her forward. They climbed the rocky wall, muscles straining, hearts pounding. The hunters below tried to follow, but the rocks were too steep, too unstable for their weight. Some fell, others shouted, frustrated and unable to continue. The human reached the top first, then helped the girl up. Her small hands gripped his firmly as he pulled her to safety. From the high ledge, they could see the valley below, the hunters still searching, unable to climb, trapped by the very terrain they had relied on. The girl breathed heavily, relief flooding her. We did it. We beat them," she whispered, awe in her eyes. The human shook his head, smiling faintly. "Not just beat them, we outsmarted them," he said, voice calm but filled with pride. Humanity's cleverness, courage, and adaptability had turned the tables. Even when faced with relentless enemies, the girl looked at him, admiration shining in her eyes. You always know what to do," she said softly. The human chuckled. "Not always. But we think together, we survive together," he corrected, and she nodded, understanding that their bond and cooperation were as important as bravery. The sun broke through the fog, casting golden light over the canyon, a symbol of hope and freedom. The human and the girl stood on the ledge, catching their breath, knowing that danger could return at any moment, but also knowing that together, they could face anything. And in that moment, above the hunters, above the traps and danger, they realized human ingenuity, courage, and unity were more powerful than any enemy. They were alive, unbroken, and unstoppable, ready to face whatever the next challenge would bring.
The final escape. The wind whipped around them as they stood atop the rocky ledge, the valley below shrouded in mist. The human tightened his grip on the girl's hand, her small fingers trembling, but determination burned in her eyes. This was the final moment, their last chance to escape the hunters and claim freedom. He pointed to the horizon, where a faint glow marked the landing site of a faster ship, hidden among jagged cliffs. "We have to reach that ship, now," he said, voice low but urgent. The girl nodded, taking a deep breath, steadying herself against fear. Every step forward could mean life or death. They ran down the rocky slope, careful to avoid loose stones. Every sound of falling debris could alert the hunters below, but the humans' knowledge of terrain gave them an advantage. Each movement precise, each leap calculated, human ingenuity guiding them. Behind them, the hunters shouted, frustrated, their attempts to follow slowed by the difficult path. The human glanced back briefly, assessing the distance, then focused on the ship ahead. "Almost there. Keep going," he encouraged, and she ran faster, fueled by hope. The cliffs narrowed, forming a natural corridor, perfect for a final trap. The human paused briefly, noticing sharp rocks on the path. He quickly grabbed a vine, tying it to a boulder, creating a makeshift pulley. "Jump on 3. 1, 2, 3, he commanded, and the girl leapt without hesitation. The pulley swung them over the jagged rocks, landing safely near the ship. Her heart pounded, but her eyes sparkled with relief. The human followed, using his strength and balance to land beside her. The hunters reached the edge of the corridor. Too late, trapped by the terrain they underestimated. The ship's hatch opened with a hiss, welcoming them into safety. The human helped the girl inside, and she sank onto the seat, exhausted but smiling. We did it. We escaped," she whispered, tears of relief streaming down her face. The human shook his head, smiling faintly. "We didn't just escape. We survived, and we won," he said, eyes scanning the foggy horizon. The engines roared to life, lifting the ship above the cliffs, leaving the valley, the hunters, and the danger far below. The girl looked at him, awe and gratitude shining in her eyes. "You saved me. And we did it together," she said softly, her voice full of wonder and newfound strength. The human nodded. "Together," he agreed. "That's what makes humans strong. Courage, intelligence, and trust." Outside, the alien world stretched vast and beautiful, stars glimmering above, mountains rising below. Freedom was no longer a dream. It was real, palpable, and theirs, humanity had triumphed, not just through strength, but through cleverness, bravery, and the unyielding spirit to survive. The girl leaned back, finally letting herself breathe. I feel safe now," she whispered, and the human placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "And we'll keep it that way, wherever we go," he said, eyes steady, unwavering. As the ship soared into the alien night, leaving danger behind, they realized the true victory was more than survival. It was the bond forged in adversity, the courage discovered in fear, the hope that no matter how dark the world became, humanity would always find a way to win. And in that moment, above alien mountains and glowing stars, the girl smiled, free for the first time. The human knew the fight had been worth it. Every risk, every clever move, every heartbeat shared in trust. They had escaped, they had triumphed, and the story of humanity's courage had been written once again. Together, alive, unbroken, unstoppable, they vanished into the stars, ready to face the universe with bravery, intelligence, and the unyielding spirit that made humans extraordinary. The final escape. The wind whipped around them as they stood atop the rocky ledge, the valley below shrouded in mist. The human tightened his grip on the girl's hand, her small fingers trembling, but determination burned in her eyes. This was the final moment, their last chance to escape the hunters and claim freedom. He pointed to the horizon, where a faint glow marked the landing site of a faster ship, hidden among jagged cliffs. "We have to reach that ship, now," he said, voice low but urgent. The girl nodded, taking a deep breath, steadying herself against fear. Every step forward could mean life or death. They ran down the rocky slope, careful to avoid loose stones. Every sound of falling debris could alert the hunters below, but the humans' knowledge of terrain gave them an advantage. Each movement precise, each leap calculated, human ingenuity guiding them. Behind them, the hunters shouted, frustrated, their attempts to follow slowed by the difficult path. The human glanced back briefly, assessing the distance, then focused on the ship ahead. "Almost there. Keep going," he encouraged, and she ran faster, fueled by hope. The cliffs narrowed, forming a natural corridor, perfect for a final trap. The human paused briefly, noticing sharp rocks on the path. He quickly grabbed a vine, tying it to a boulder, creating a makeshift pulley. "Jump on 3. 1, 2, 3, he commanded, and the girl leapt without hesitation. The pulley swung them over the jagged rocks, landing safely near the ship. Her heart pounded, but her eyes sparkled with relief. The human followed, using his strength and balance to land beside her. The hunters reached the edge of the corridor. Too late, trapped by the terrain they underestimated. The ship's hatch opened with a hiss, welcoming them into safety. The human helped the girl inside, and she sank onto the seat, exhausted but smiling. We did it. We escaped," she whispered, tears of relief streaming down her face. The human shook his head, smiling faintly. "We didn't just escape. We survived, and we won," he said, eyes scanning the foggy horizon. The engines roared to life, lifting the ship above the cliffs, leaving the valley, the hunters, and the danger far below. The girl looked at him, awe and gratitude shining in her eyes. "You saved me. And we did it together," she said softly, her voice full of wonder and newfound strength. The human nodded. "Together," he agreed. "That's what makes humans strong. Courage, intelligence, and trust." Outside, the alien world stretched vast and beautiful, stars glimmering above, mountains rising below. Freedom was no longer a dream. It was real, palpable, and theirs, humanity had triumphed, not just through strength, but through cleverness, bravery, and the unyielding spirit to survive. The girl leaned back, finally letting herself breathe. I feel safe now," she whispered, and the human placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "And we'll keep it that way, wherever we go," he said, eyes steady, unwavering. As the ship soared into the alien night, leaving danger behind, they realized the true victory was more than survival. It was the bond forged in adversity, the courage discovered in fear, the hope that no matter how dark the world became, humanity would always find a way to win. And in that moment, above alien mountains and glowing stars, the girl smiled, free for the first time. The human knew the fight had been worth it. Every risk, every clever move, every heartbeat shared in trust. They had escaped, they had triumphed, and the story of humanity's courage had been written once again. Together, alive, unbroken, unstoppable, they vanished into the stars, ready to face the universe with bravery, intelligence, and the unyielding spirit that made humans extraordinary.